Hey, this is Wolfie, and we're going to check out Jason Kelce's debut on ESPN. He's going to talk about the new rules, such as the kickoff and the new tackling. All right, let's get right to it.
Week one are going to turn it on and see the kickoff and go, what the is this? And we have a representation, sort of animated style, to give you an idea what this is. It's essentially a line of scrimmage play. All right, teams still kick off from the 35. There are 10 players on each team. I should say 10 players from the kicking team start at the opponent's 40. At least 9 players on the receiving team have to set up in the zone between the 30 and the 35. Then when the ball is touched or hits the ground in the end zone or the landing zone, the area between the receiving team's goal line and the 20, that's when things go. Touchback brings it out to the 30. Touchbacks that roll into the end zone are at the 20. I know that.
Oh, dude, should not have touched the Benjamin before seeing all that. Something about touchback goes out to the 30. I don't even know. I'm going to have to watch this like multiple times.
Significantly. And again, I don't want to bog down the numbers, but it's about a 7% increase in terms of how often you score. So you understand why teams might contemplate this. But there's so much strategy, Ryan, to figure out about how you want to kick it and how you want to return it. What's your sense of what teams are going to do?
It's absolutely changed the way you prepare for this in the preseason and also during the week. This is now just another offensive play. But when you are kicking the football, you could play.
So we got that it's just another offensive play. So it's like a screenplay, run play. But we didn't see anything really too great in the Hall of Fame game. But, I mean, it's one game, so we'll see what happens. Also, it's new to the NFL, so new strategies are going to be made. It'll be exciting. I'm actually excited. I can't wait to see. Hopefully it's a benefit to the game.
And to whether it's a squib or you're going to pooch it and hope that it rolls into the end zone to try to gain an advantage. And now offensively, or if you're the receiving teams, you're setting up plays like you're talking about the run game offensively, whether it's traps, cutback, misdirection, power. You can do all of these different things. And so where it's going to look extremely different to the fan, it's also going to be worked on and prepared for extremely different when we're talking about these teams. I've been in camps, and to listen to the special teams coach have to sort of coach the different things we normally hear on the offensive line or the defensive line from the guys who are stacked on the line of scrimmage there. It's very difficult to think that this is where football now is, but it's to try to change what we saw, which was touchback after touchback after touchback.
I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I feel like he was on to something, then I feel like he got lost.
And I could not be more excited about
I
this.
do like Ryan Cartwright.
I think the return rate last year was 19%.
It's Kelce's first time. Here we go.
It used to be, before all these rules were put in place to make the play safer, it used to be somewhere around 50%. So people want to see kickoff returns. There's a guy going to the Hall of Fame this year, Devin Hester, who is going in for that exact reason.
Because he was the best.
And this play has been made obsolete in the past few years.
It became basically a mindless exercise.
It was a ceremony. Oh, here's the opening kickoff ceremony rundown, 60 yards for no reason.
Jason Kelce, make sure he talks over the host right here. And it's actually hilarious. I want to see if I cut back to it.
I think the return rate last year was 19%. It used to be, before all these rules were put in place to make the play safer, it used to be somewhere around 50%. So people want to see kickoff returns. There's a guy going to the Hall of Fame this year, Devin Hester, who is going in for that exact reason.
Because he was the best.
And this play has been made obsolete in the past few years.
It became basically a mindless exercise.
It was a ceremony. Oh, here's the opening kickoff ceremony rundown, 60 yards for no reason.
Commercial.
And now all of a sudden it's going to mean something. The game is better when special teams play a factor. When it makes a difference, and all those guys that put in that hard work get to go out there and actually execute something.
Who's going to be on the field, though? I mean, this is like special teamers. You're going to have your O-line, your D-line. You're going to have real position players out there, aren't you?
That's a lot of space for a big guy to be. I mean, there's still a 30-yard window, but they might. I mean, typically on the kickoff, they used.
I don't know. I heard it was Auburn versus Alabama. The reason why they won that game, Auburn did, was because the offensive linemen they had out there were really slow, because they had the kick team out there.
Used to be old linemen on the wedge because they were closer to the returner. You didn't have to operate in as much space, but I still think it's probably going to be mostly linebackers and your big skill type guys. But I mean, they might find a way to use one, especially on a trap block or something like that. That could get dangerous.
I think from a defensive standpoint, man, it's going to be a bit different than your conventional guy.
Next kind of feels good. Anyway.
guys because shedding blocks becomes a premium now, right? And look, I'm going to say it. It puts the defense at a disadvantage. The space used to create non-contact and speed.
Everybody wanted to
I can see what
so now up front, for real, now up
seems
front,
like it.
you hand fighting. You got to shed blocks immediately. I'm not talking about getting a running start and trying to disengage with a guy, but it's happening. It's a line of scrimmage play.
It is.
Outside of that.
I just wonder, looking at all the numbers, and every team's got analytics people, you look at it and say, just let them start at the 30 because they're okay. If we can squib it and roll it through, then we get it at the 20. But if it goes out of bounds, that's the 40-yard line. If it lands short of the target zone, the 20, the landing zone, I should say, comes out to the 40. I figured that's way too much risk. But I mean, Sean McVay said he didn't think teams are going to show their hand in the preseason, much like they don't with their offensive game plans. Now, the hip drop.
Sean McVay's not showing their hands, so people actually have plans for this. That's crazy. That'd be cool. That'd be kind of cool to see. Personally, if it adds more to the game, Deebo Samuel wants to get involved in it because it might add him to the opportunity. Because if it is really a line of scrimmage play, that'd be great for Deebo because it's great on screens and yak. That'd be dope. I want to see a Deebo in it because I don't know. I'm excited. I'm excited. Hopefully, it's good for the league. It's not bad. Also to add to it the safety of the league, so it'd be nice too.
Drop tackle now. These are the clips that the NFL sent around to show what will.
I hate this rule. I'm just going to say it now. I don't like it. Hopefully, it doesn't affect the defense too much to where it's actually not a big deal. I'd rather to not hate this. I'd rather to be really good for the league and be more safe for the players without taking away from the entertainment. I'd rather see that. And we'll see how it unfolds in the league throughout the year, but as of right now, I do not like it. I'm just being honest. I'm not a fan.
Result in a 15-yard penalty. It's exactly the reason here you see with the Pollard injury that came in the playoffs a year ago where he went down. And the issue is the unweighting of the defender by swiveling and dropping his hips or lower body. And this other example, which came, I believe, last year, Jets and the Giants, and you see Geno going out of bounds. Same story. What you're trying to do is avoid the defender landing on and trapping the runner's legs at or below the knee. I think we've all understand, fellas, that horse collar and hits across the middle, we see him immediately and we know it's a flag. But I wonder, as someone who's never played the game as you all did, how do you tackle someone anymore, Marcus?
Look, you got to click heels now. And if you behind a guy, you literally got the natural instinct when you grab a guy from behind, and RC did it more in the open field, but even us as defensive linemen, most of our tackles for loss on a zone stretch, we grabbing the back waist of the running back and trying to get him down. So it's a new technique. And look, I could get on here and grumble about the game getting
rumble. Complain about something in a bad-tempered way. The more you know.
Different, and you got to be so cautious that you can't play defense in a certain way. That's a justified reason when you got guys missing a year or you got guys missing time. Mark Andrews suffered an injury, which was critical for him. The problem is the same problem that you have. Horse collar, to me, I thought that was an easy fix. Just don't put your hand inside of it. You can see it. This one, it gives me a little bit of a pause because your natural reaction as a football player is to grab waist and stop weight. Right. And I just want to see how these guys go.
And the other piece, if you look at the two examples that you gave, the Tony Pollard one seemed like the prime example of what we want to get out of the game.
Agreed.
If you watch Isaiah Simmons as he's chasing Geno Smith, he's actually ball searching. He never grabs him. Right, but it's his momentum as he's ball searching and chasing inside out that allows him to fall on the back of Geno Smith's leg, which in the end, that's the result they're looking for, to throw the flag or to find a guy. It's extremely difficult. And so now it's going to be not only changing the way you approach this from a strategic standpoint, it's also the things that are just innate in us. It's innate that if I'm chasing a guy from behind, I go dead because it's harder to travel this dead weight with you. So now it's going to be about wrapping and clicking heels or making sure you can get both legs together as you hold them on, and you're going to go dead flat instead of trying to go dead and swivel around. I think it's extremely difficult to.
All right, it's a long way of saying just got to grab him by the legs and just drop flat instead of swinging yourself. So just drop flat instead. Which I think it really depends upon how harsh they are with this rule.
To police early or to officiate early, and it's also going to take a ton of adjustment by defensive players.
And I've heard that the goal is not to do too much officiating of this early.
I dig that.
What I've heard from officials around the league and stuff is that the goal is to administer this disciplinary behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
So through the fine system, they're going to take their time to look at replays and make correct judgments based off of that. I think unless it's something really egregious, they're going to try and keep it out.
Yeah.
But that works.
Did you ever deal with anything like that?
Yeah.
Just coming outside of the game?
Yeah. So, I mean, for the past few years, they've been trying to eliminate offensive linemen leading with their heads on any type of block, right? But especially when you're pulling or out in space. And I've been fined multiple times for that, but I've never been called in a game.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And I think that's another example where that's a really hard thing to officiate in real time. So a lot of times they just leave that behind the scenes for, John Runyon, former Eagle, and those guys to figure out how much money they want to take from you. And I love John, but
Also,
the dirtiest guy in the history of the NFL is now in charge of the fine system.
Just a total slobber knocker.
We call those hypocrites. The question would be, though, is when it gets to that fine appeal or that fine system, are you actually coaching me through why you think it's illegal?
Right.
That would have to be the important piece of that.
I think there's a lot that's important to it. I just think that both the kickoff and the hip drop are things that are going to sneak up on fans. And look, someone is going to tackle someone. They're going to go dead. It's going to be 15 yards. It's going to impact the game in a massive way. And then all day long on Monday on our network and every other network, people are going to be freaking out and saying, how the hell are you supposed to tackle?
Absolutely. And it's going to lead to controversial situations because of the subjectiveness of it. Hopefully this thing doesn't cost a game, so we don't have to deal with that. But I think the other thing to keep in mind, I think I'm very hesitant to see how this happens, but all of these rule changes that have been happening in the NFL, I think have largely been successful. The targeting things have made a drastic reduction in concussions and receivers going across the middle when you played or before that. I used to love watching the highlights, but man, these guys, this did some damage and that has worked. And initially when that happened, I'm like, when this guy's going across the middle and ducking, how is a defender supposed to react in real time?
Eventually, people adjust.
It's just going to take some time.
Jason Kelce was pretty dang good. That dude's got some mad talent. He looks kind of nervous, but at the same time, not. Like, he just did not let anything hold him back. He meshed well with everyone there. I think Ryan Clark's fantastic as a host. And seeing Jason Kelce, I think he's fantastic as well. Like, you could see it right off the bat, especially between him and Ryan Clark. You can see the chemistry, and that's kind of nice. I think there might be a future between them two. But, yeah, I think he did very good in his debut. There's a couple funny moments, but that's just because I was just, checking out his debut, so I was kind of focusing more on him. As for the rules, safety's great, but I'm still sticking to what I just said earlier, which is pretty much, it's going to change the game a little bit, let's be honest. This kickoff return thing might be good, though, on the bright side, so we might get something cool out of it. So, all right, guys, that is Jason Kelce's debut, the new rules. Probably have to go back and watch that a couple of times to really get it together. It's probably really not that complicated. It's just something new. However, let me know what you guys think of the new rules. Let me know what you think of Jason Kelce's debut. Was it great? Was it not? But if you like the content, please hit the sub. If you like the video, please like the video. I love fam. I'll see you next video.